Well, we're going to kick off. We're going to give everybody a couple of more minutes to join, but just to go over all the basics and get into the good conversation we're going to have today. So a little bit of housekeeping to get going. I'll be your host today. My name is Jeremy Horowitz. I am the Director of Marketing and Partnerships here at Daasity. A couple of things for everybody to know. For everybody who's attending and a participant, you're on mute. So if you have any questions, if anything pops up, if you have any trouble, my teammate Nikki will be on. If you just throw them in the chat, her or myself will be able to help you resolve any of those problems. And then also we will be recording the entire thing and sending it out afterwards. Last piece is we're going to do a live Q&A at the end, but if you have questions, anything comes up during it that you want me to ask the panels, drop it in the Q&A below and I'll pull it up and ask when I can. So to get to the good stuff, why we're all here today, our amazing panel. So I'll allow you both to introduce yourselves. So Katie, do you want to give us a quick background on yourself and what you're working on over at Maev?
Yeah, good to meet you guys. And so pumped to be here for this convo. I'm Katie, founder of Maev. We're a better for you dog food company. We try to make a dog food that's actually better for your dog, that is as easy as the other stuff. We're a pre-Series A seed stage startup, 10 people, and love e-com and making experiences that delight customers. Awesome.
TJ, how about yourself and Bubs?
Let's keep it as truncated as possible. I've been in e-com for about 22 years, since 1998, Yahoo RTML, if anybody remembers that. So I've dated myself really good. But that being said, I look young because we sell collagen and MCT. So not on the dog supplement side, but on the human supplement side, we do basically feel great, do good, is kind of our company motto. So our products, single source, pasture raised, grass fed, highest marks we can possibly get for any type of human supplement or human food. And then on the back end, we give 10% of every sale to a military charity, specifically the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. It helps transition special operations soldiers out of the military into civilian life through scholarship. The company was named after Glenn Bub Doherty, one of the 2 Navy SEALs that died in Benghazi during the terrorist attacks of 2012. That's my business partner's best friend. So it's a little tribute, pay it forward, and we've had fun doing it for the last 4 years.
Very cool. Okay, 2 great stories for what I'm assuming is going to be a great conversation. So let's dive right in. What are some ways that you've been able to optimize your site that's a double win, where you've got to be able to delight customers and improve your conversions? So TJ, I'm going to just jump right in for you first.
The surprise and delight. I mean, we hide Easter eggs all over our site, to be honest with you. So there's we have fun with design. One of my business partners is involved with a guy named Ryan Hayes. I've been working with him for probably about the last 10 or 15 years, and we have a really similar design eye for UI UX. So there's always little nuances that are in there. But when it comes to practical application and actually garnering conversions rather than just the feel good on the back end, I mean, it's all the obvious things. It's like ease of checkout. It's make sure you have live support, an ability to contact somebody inside the company, customer management, and you say the retention is not very difficult on the surface level, right? It's create a relationship with somebody. It's not create a push message. Everybody is supposed to leave happy whether or not they take out a credit card. So make everybody feel seen, right, and heard along the way. Make them feel loved. Whether they pull out a credit card, and you're going to have a good result. And that's really where we kind of set our foundation, is like, let's make sure everybody's paid attention to.
Yeah, definitely. Because then everybody feels like they have that personal touch. They get to know, like, and trust the brand, come back and buy more. So
exactly.
Katie, same question to you. Where have you found that nice balance between delighting customers and improving conversions?
Yeah, we work on this all the time. I think that welcoming relationship building is the biggest advantage of e-com. The second thing we try to focus on is building trust. We're in an aisle where there's just skepticism and no trust for good reason. And so we bake social proofing into any element on the site. It comes through reviews, UGC, lifestyle images. It comes through widgets that pull activity and engagement to say somebody from this town is also on the site shopping this product right now. So that people know that they're one of many and they're a part of a community even before they transact.
Very cool. Okay. So I know you all both have moved to a custom storefront. So how has that really furthered those efforts, and what have you been able to do that really took it a level above just going through more of a standard store? So Katie, I'm going to throw that question back to you first.
Yeah, so we went headless from the jump because we knew that our product needed to be curated. It's custom for a bunch of reasons based on what your dog needs, and we knew we needed a different PDP than the standard. From there, we found that the headless commerce set us up well for different integrations, for some of these custom UI tooling pieces, and for speed. We've done so much with it. We do A/B testing constantly. We plug in third-party integrations much more seamlessly. And we've done big architecture sprints on speed, and we've seen immediate gains by launching a faster site. So with a big speed improvement, we saw like a 30+% increase in conversion rate, which is like a stepwise change, makes a big difference on CAC.
Yeah, wow, that's definitely 30% is definitely a big number, big increase too. TJ, how about yourself? What have been some new experiences, some new things that you've been able to really do now that you went to a custom storefront?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, excuse me, Katie kind of articulated all the base that you can do with it, which is really good. And my tenure in the space being everywhere from Magento and Yahoo Magento all the way to enterprise stuff, WebSphere, Hybris, ATG, that type of stuff. Going through a Jamstack implementation is really the most flexible I've seen front end in terms of ecom. I mean, you're going to get, as you'd scope stuff back in the day, it was kind of, we're going to take your unique snowflake and we're going to put you into this box as best as we can and tape it shut. Now it's kind of, let's take the unique snowflake and just actually build off of that. And the build structure is a little different. You kind of go granular to big now. So we're building reusable components and things that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm not doing, nothing against Zipify Page Build or a Shogun or anything, but I'm not doing repeats on those. I'm creating full custom experiences without the drag and drop, if that makes sense. But for the most part, all of those components still exist and live and breathe throughout our site. So it allows for rapid iteration, which is kind of a blessing. And in terms of like the benefits, site speed was my goal. I've never been able to pull and have these type of gains out of purely a PWA or sites loading fast like I have now. I mean, where our conversion is consistently in the double digits now. And I went kind of wild card and threw a random test out there. I launched Headless on August 27th, and I shut all my ads off on the same day. And I ran it for a month. And we converted obviously higher qualified traffic, but way higher than we ever did on a baseline. And we actually got more net new revenue, net new customers as well. So if site speed says anything to anybody, do it because it's worth it. Pay attention to it. And it's often the most forgot about.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of become a accepted difference. I have two follow-up questions. What is Jamstack for anybody who isn't familiar?
Yeah, so your JavaScript API is basically what you're looking at. So your front end is built in a JavaScript-esque language. So it could be Vue, React, Nuxt, Next. We use Gatsby internally, which has just been kind of our preference and really good for us. Everything has their pluses and minuses. But you're taking basically the back end of Shopify and separating it. You still have this nice platform for customer retention and customer relationships and product management and all of that stuff. And then you're taking your presentation layer from the theme forward and cutting it off. So Shopify is just the checkout. Everything else on the front end now is presented not in Liquid, in our case, in Gatsby, and then pushed to an endpoint, either Netlify or Vercel or something like that.
Okay. And then you're just doing everything on a JavaScript language. Second question was, you just very casually mentioned that you have a double-digit conversion rate. Is that site-wide? And also, Katie's just like casually not alone. Like, yeah, I'm very familiar with that. So are you saying that your conversion rate now site-wide is in the double digits, not like a 2 to 3%?
Yeah, like 13 plus. Chances are it'll go down. As I start to add unqualified traffic. I don't want to sit here and be like, hey, we're going to consistently go into the future at 10+% conversion going forward. We have great days, obviously, during normal business and normal ads that we do see double digits here and there. We've always converted on Liquid and call it the mid to high singles. Anything 7 to 9% was always good for us. But switching over to headless and again, shutting off ads, we removed a lot of unqualified traffic. So your conversion's naturally going to boost a little bit, but we are holding above. And most importantly to me was the net new users. Am I getting people into the fold? Am I improving more people's lives than just the customer set that I have now? And the answer was yes. I mean, we're up 15% on net new. So just on the UI experience and the speed alone, no ads supplementing, we're doing a little bit better.
And are you running ads still?
No.
So you just shut off ads?
Shut them off completely. Google, Facebook, the whole thing shut down. Currently, you may see a Rayleigh's ad if anybody gets in the Facebook library to call me out, but actual ads that go directly to the site have been shut down across the board since August 27th. I may spin those back up today. I got ungated for some nice Shopify betas, but that will probably be the only reason that I'll do it until November.
Okay. Are you planning on turning those ads back on going into BFCM?
Yeah. We'll definitely do it. You can't, just shut everything off and just expect, organic growth throughout the rest of the year. You do have to throw a little kerosene on the fire. But the baseline for me was literally, okay, was converting to headless smart? Because we were running on Liquid previously and running on a Shopify theme that was, well built. So was it smart? What is a good decision? And then what's my baseline now? And once I have this baseline and I'm firm in it, now I can throw some gas on the fire. And that's really the way we approach everything and always kind of have approached stuff since day one. It's always build the foundation first and then supplement with ads and then supplement with additional.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if that conversion rate takes a decent hit, you're still in pretty good shape.
Still good, yeah.
So Katie, what metrics are you all focusing on? What impact have you seen on the KPIs that you were like, this is what we're going to judge our custom storefront against?
Yeah, I'm still a ghost from this double-digit conversion rate concept. Risk of shutting off all ads while transitioning. So we launched as a headless storefront, so we don't have a past to refer back to and really compare. We track everything like in the weeds most days. The top line is conversion rate. We look at conversion rate by channel, conversion rate for mobile versus web. Beyond that, we track AOV and AOV across the same topics. Everything we sell at Maev is a subscription. So we always look at LTV and we look at cohort churn. And whenever we're doing conversion rate experiments or A/B tests, which is like dozens a day, we track LTV based on first purchase or first channel. So without fully recovering from this experiment that I just heard about and need to process those at high level. And then we do all kinds of things. So we track the baseline metrics, but we also do heat maps. We do user interviews. I get 5 customer calls a week, so I can just like check in on how people are feeling with the physical product. And then we try to launch new tests across both our channels like Facebook, Google, owned social, and SMS, and then on the site too.
Very cool. So then which metrics are you using to define like loyalty, how we found our best customers? Is that kind of the LTV by channel, LTV by first product?
Yeah, exactly. We also track engagement. So we really encourage our customers to refer their friends through formal channels. We see word of mouth driving a significant portion of traffic, but we're still running all these ads, so it's always like diluted. But LTV is the top most important metric for loyalty for us. And then we look to these engagement metrics, like what percentage of our customer base is referring their friends, what percentage of referrers are referring 5+ friends, and of the converting customers, how many of them engaged with one of our like loyalty-based components, like a UGC component or a views component, things like that. If you engage with one of those before converting, that's really interesting for us to know in terms of site optimization.
Interesting. I want a quick follow-up question on the UGC. What have you all determined that if someone shares UGC before they buy indicates that they're a good or a bad buyer long term?
We really focus on post-purchase UGC, but we see them engaging with the UGC component pre-purchase, which tells us that they're looking for social proofing. And if we embed that UGC component elsewhere, we could drive up engagement. So we push the UGC component to emails. And if you engage with it, we follow up with an email flow that also has a similar component.
Got it. Okay, so it's engage, see what other people are doing beforehand, get that social proof in, and then I contribute back,
and you contribute again. Exactly.
generating
Yeah,
that
so
nice cycle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. And then there's a quick question from Amber. Can you just break out UGC, what the acronym is and means, and how you all think about it?
Yeah, UGC is user generated content. So UGC is one of the ways that you social proof your product and service and provide more credibility and trust. For us, most of our UGC comes through on Instagram, but it could come through anywhere. People could email in photos, videos, testimonials, any user generated content about their experience with the brand falls in the UGC umbrella. And the more that we push that, the more people trust us, because in our space, people are super skeptical, and that trust is like the first step to actually considering purchasing.
Yeah, definitely. Especially pets are basically the new kids. So everybody is extremely cautious about what they're giving their pets. So next thing I just want to dive into the speed component a little bit, because it sounds like that's been a major impact. So can you just walk me through, like, on a little bit more tactical level, what has that impact of speed had on the site? Is it people are going through the site faster? Is it that there are new experiences? Kind of walk me through those components. So Katie, I'll keep it to you first on this one.
Yeah, so for us, when we first launched the site, we had this headless commerce build, and then we did a ton of experimentation. And over time, with the number of changes that we were pushing out really quickly, we saw speed take a real hit. And eventually we were saying that we would do speed tests, and our mobile speed just wasn't up to snuff. And when we look at bounce rate, that was the biggest loss in the funnel across any page. It was just bouncing on the LP of the mobile site. And so we did big sprint, improved architecture. We changed the way that the site loads. We changed the image sizes. We made a bunch of improvements on speed, and we launched the new site. And the biggest improvement we saw was on that mobile bounce rate and mobile conversion as a whole. And the net overall conversion rate bumped up 30% on what the baseline was the week prior. But mobile conversion rate made the biggest jump. I think it went up like something closer to 75% on the baseline, which is huge. Most of our customers discover us on mobile through ads on Facebook. And if mobile is the slowest experience, then we're taking a big hit and leaving money on the table.
Yeah, especially spending the money to get them to the site. I'm guessing roughly mobile is somewhere north of 60% of site traffic, in that range. Exactly. Okay, yeah, so it's a really big impact. All right, TJ, same question to you. What are some of the tactical impacts that site speed has had for you all?
Yeah, and it's very similar. Most of our traffic's mobile. That first touch point's typically mobile. What most folks don't realize, though, is 90% of the users aren't typically on Wi-Fi. And LTE or 5G is a sliding scale, despite the fact that everybody wants to, the telcos want to say it's the fastest, or, up to broadband speeds. It's up to that you're worried about. And that's what I'm worried about in all the ads, is the up to. So I know that 1 bar of LTE, it's going to take, 15 seconds for me to load a pretty heavy page. Plus, most people are out in 3. Their subconscious gets friction, and then it's just gone. And that's really tactically what we're trying to do, psychologically, is remove the subconscious friction in the buying process and make it snappy like everybody else, meaning like all of your other phone apps. So your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your WhatsApps, whatever you're using, TikTok, etc. It's all very snappy, and there's very little subconscious resistance when you're waiting for things to load. You're always on to the next thing. They're all to blame for this reduction in attention span. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but at the same, we got to play on the same field now. So just like Katie, add a couple sprints, change the architecture. Let's make this really fast. Let's put a PWA in front of things, and that's possible to do with Headless, a progressive web app. It effectively does make your site behave like a true app that would be in the App Store, Swift, or something of those lines, because it's all static rendered. So at the end of the day, if you can concentrate on speed, and again, this is probably the least thought of for the most part for improvements, look at it and look at it hard. It's the hardest to do. There's a long timeline in front of it. It's not taking UGC from the bottom and moving it to the mid of the page, and hopefully we have a boost in conversion. You're planning, but it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like it's really great on the acquisition side. Are there any difference that you've noticed on that retention, customer loyalty, long-term side since going headless? And TJ, I'm gonna throw it right back to you first for this one.
Yeah, for us, most of our retention is actually done off channel. So we're not typically communicating within the site. If there is, repeat purchasers, we still have that growing. It's going up and to the right, and the the repeat and retention looks really great for us, but it's never been a concentration of like, we need to re-communicate. Everything done is SMS and email and that type of stuff. And then we lead back to the site, least amount of check or least amount of clicks to get to the cart, that type of thing. So that's really our goal. But obviously I think Katie's going to have a little different opinion because there's more products than we have, and there's going to be more education and all that stuff. So it's yeah.
Yeah, we do something similar. So core retention, when you boil it down, really happens off channel. Like TJ said, we do a ton of A/B testing on alerts that you get before your next purchase and making swaps and changes easier than churns, and then giving you direct access to the customer support team. And then there's the other piece of driving people back to the site and trying to upsell them and say, like, we know that you purchased this and you had this experience, so maybe you might want to try this in your next box. Headless has helped us stand up new landing pages really quickly to have a much more streamlined checkout purchase flow because you already have given us your credit card. But when we think about retention, most of it is happening offline in these other channels. It's happening in the box, it's happening with customer service. And then we do bake in these surprise and delight moments that for us really matter for loyalty more so than first box. But it's hard to measure because we are A/B testing cohorts.
Okay, I want to dive into that in a second. I have one quick question first. So you both have mentioned something about streamlined to get customers to check out. Can you walk me through it at a conceptual level or maybe at a hypothetical UX? What is that actual difference of, like, if I have a standard liquid site, I'm going through, the home collection PDP cart checkout, what would be that streamlined experience?
Well, first, in the flow that you mentioned, the not streamlined experience goes from home collection PDP cart, and then checkout itself has multiple steps in it too. There's the shipping page, the billing page, and the finished page, the like, yes, complete this action. And so you get drop off within those 3 steps as well. And when you streamline, you can condense almost everything that you mentioned into 1 or 2 pages so that there are fewer clicks, fewer points for leakage in the funnel, and fewer points for that subconscious friction, which I love that term that TJ mentioned.
Cool. So it's basically like landing page, get all the information, collect whatever product they want to buy, and then the next page is a checkout.
Yeah, and for us, we even have tools where we can send somebody to a landing page, they can click confirm, and that is checkout for them. So with Headless, we also use a subscription tool that stores credit card information, and you're already authorized because you have logged in to manage your sub. And if you click a button saying, I want to add this to my next box, then you're done. You've clicked it and you get an order confirmation. And if you clicked it by mistake, of course, you can just click another button and undo it. But you don't have to take all of the steps of re-entering your credit card information, retyping your shipping information, potentially getting distracted during that process or accidentally like mistyping something. It's just one click, a click to open the LP and a click to complete the purchase.
Okay, you basically recreate the buy button, but just for subscription. Interesting. Okay. TJ, any thoughts from your side? Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's it. This is glorified retail, right? We want to get somebody from the front door to check out as quick as possible and the least amount of obstacles. That's it. So create, it's Apple Store stuff. The center split, you can walk straight down. If you need an iPhone, go right. If you need a laptop, go left, but the checkout's right there and it'll always be right there. That's basically what we're looking to do. It's just to make sure that you have a very clear and concise path and there's no confusion in it. But least amount of steps to actually make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, I guess something that I struggle with a lot, because when I used to do this, my back and forth was always, how do we get somebody to buy as quickly as possible, but then how do we educate them enough that they can stick around, come back, be a repurchaser? So how are you thinking about balancing those two? TJ, I'm going to put you on the hot spot first for this one.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just take a prime example. Like one touch point, saw an ad, that's all they saw, they came straight in. There was no other data we have on them. We immediately throw people into a post-purchase nurture sequence. that could be anything from, hey, here's a little bit of education about the product, but all the way through, hey, how can I add as much value to your life as possible? And that stems out for the entire timeline or average timeline until those typical rebuys would happen. So for us, it's about 45 to 55 days until the next purchase for most customers. So we run an entire campaign for about 45 days. With incentives along the way, but it's all educational components. Other products we've done, people that have used the product, recipe guides, ebooks, and we give as much as we can of it away. Again, make people feel seen, right, heard, and loved, and you're going to have a repeat purchaser. I want to create a relationship with people and create that dialogue instead of that push messaging, and it's all been off site for us for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of what would traditionally be in a welcome series is in the
Yeah.
post-purchase, knowing that they got through the site so quickly.
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Katie, what about for you all? Especially because subscription, high convincing rate. Seems like there's probably a little bit of interesting mix of education that you all need to do.
Yeah, we have to do so much, because if you purchase the product in a moment of excitement without fully realizing what this takes to transition your dog's food or what it looks like to use the product, then we see first box churn as a result. So we've done a ton of post-purchase message A/B testing to figure out what mitigates it best. We rely on email, just like TJ said. We also do some SMS. We link back to the blog in many of those emails, where you get an even more thorough mix of information. We know that some of our customers want to go deep dive into that and some don't. So we did a ton of message testing on email to say, like, progressive disclosure, how much are we going to bake into this simple email with one clear CTA versus how much are we going to leave on the blog for you to dive into yourself? And then the last thing is in the box experience. We did a lot of iteration on our package inserts, and we finally landed on a set of inserts that really work well for customers that they understand, and then they also like to take pictures of it and share it online. So that, I mean, that's arguably more important even than the conversion rate optimization, because once you get somebody in the door and they transact, they're the most valuable they could be. And if you drop them at that point, it's a waste of money again.
There's 100% open rate on box includes. It's your best option. There's two wasted pieces of real estate in e-commerce: transactional emails and box includes. 100% open rate on those things. Don't waste the real estate.
Awesome. Okay. I actually want to jump down this rabbit hole really quickly, because I agree. I also think it's the most neglected thing. So Katie, since you did run a bunch of tests, I'm just going to ask, what did work well? Like, what did you find was effective to include in those inserts?
Yeah, in the inserts, people need the most important information right up front. So for us, it's like, how do you use this product immediately? People also need the deep dive information. We include like website links, and we've tried QR codes. People didn't love those pre-COVID. We'll see if they work in the next production run. But they need a place so they can get in touch with customer service. They need a place so they can ask their in the weeds, I think I'm the only person who ever thought of this, but I need to know the answer kind of questions. And we bake some inserts in that are like, here's what to expect in the first 60 days. The first box for us generally lasts 30 days. So if they know what they would get if they stick around to the second box, that has tended to drive down first box churn, because there's a carrot waiting for them if they just stick around for box 2.
Is that an additional incentive, or you're just laying out what they would get if they stayed subscribed?
It's just the health benefits of using the product. That's what really hooks people for us, is they're switching to Maev because they will see health benefits in their dog's lifestyle, well-being, and health. And you will see some of those in the first box. You'll see even more in the second box, and you'll see even more in the third box. So we like to remind people that more and better is coming if you just stick around. And that gets people excited, and they previously, I think, just weren't really educated on that, because you would have to come back to the site or read more blog articles or happen to open that one email. Putting in the box has 100% open rate.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. And that makes sense. It's just a reiteration of the value proposition at that point in time to just get them to the next stage. So TJ, same question to you. Walk me through your product insert consulting package.
Yeah, so originally it was just like recipes. Hey, you can do, so collagen, which is our primary product, is a heat tolerant protein. You can basically broil it without it degrading. So it maintains the same structure. So for instance, if you took powdered egg protein and you threw it in your coffee, you'd have egg whites real fast. It's a low heat tolerance, and it obviously absorbs all the water, and it refactors into what its original form is. Collagen doesn't do that. Collagen's heat tolerant to 517-ish degrees, so we can put it in our coffee. What we did realize, though, and one of the biggest problems in our company and kind of storytelling and where this allowed us to go forward and improve, the serving size is 2 scoops, and our scoop is literally like, you got to throw 2 in. Most people, it's just 1 scoop, they're blind, they're done. They don't look at the instructions. They don't look at the recommended serving size. They don't know what the RDA is post, like what the back of the nutrition panel is. So for most folks, actually, like 60 to 80 grams of collagen is a really, really good. So we're talking 8 to 10 scoops or what have you. Just telling people 2 scoops in your coffee, the boldest words inside a box insert, has worked miracles. Miracles. It's literally, you have to hit it over the head. You have to keep it, like Katie said, in small pieces of consumption. I can't tell an entire story on a 3x5 card. It doesn't do us any good. Recipes, even on that level, are really hard. You get things lost in the weed. If it's a QR code or a coupon code, there's too much information on there. Make it big, bold, one thing, send it out, and don't overthink it.
Okay, so it's very interesting that both of you, it sounds like it was product education. Did you all find that through like customer support tickets or people reaching out on social? Like, how'd you come to that discovery that was what you need to focus on?
Mine, it was self-discovery, and it was digging into the analytics and digging into the weeds. Why are we not growing the way we should? And that's obviously relative, and I kind of go hard in that direction, but hey, this stuff wasn't maintaining what my expectations were in terms of growth and what I'm used to in terms of running e-com. So where's the gap on this? It's not touch points. Rebuys are happening. Oh, okay, cool. It's frequency in between. All right, so let's just try to draw that back. If people were typically on a 60-day because it's a 2 scoops, a 30-day supply, and they're extending that to the full 1 scoop, 60 scoops in the jar type thing. Okay, let's just educate them and bring them forward a little bit. It makes a difference. At the same time, it's healthy for people. Like, so it's not like we're pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. And I think the same thing for Katie is like, you give that education, you're actually doing something justice on the back end, whether it's an animal, whether it's a human, you're improving somebody's quality of life, somebody's way of living, an animal's quality of life, an animal's way of living. Like, it only makes sense to educate more.
Definitely. Katie, do you have any other tactics of how you got to your insights?
Yeah, nothing novel. I mean, the customer made the purchase because they wanted it to work. And so we put up a customer chat tool and manned it almost 24/7. And customers told us their questions. They told us what wasn't working. Whenever a customer complained, I got on the phone with them. They wanted it to work, so they were unhappy because it didn't work. And that told us like loud and clear, the biggest miscommunication is A, B, and C. And that's like the lead that we followed. Customer service was the biggest one. Since then, now that we don't have these like glaring red flashing lights of miscommunications, we have an email flow where customers can just grab like 15 minutes with me, and I end up getting 5+ a week. And those conversations are really interesting. They're not a significant number of people, but the people who are willing to like book a calendar invite with a random person from an e-com company over Zoom, those are like interesting customers to hear feedback from.
Yeah, definitely. They're never shy about their feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So I know we took a really long tangent there. I'm going to come back to what I wanted to ask is Katie, you had started mentioning the difference of the surprise and delight on first box versus kind of keeping those loyal customers around. So how do you think about that? How do you balance the two of really trying to incentivize those new customers to buy as quickly as possible versus saving that extra something to keep people around for 6 months, 12 months longer?
Yeah, so I'm a product person. Surprise and delight experiences are like my favorite ones to dream up any time of day and then go make as like top priority for Inch to go build. When we launched the site, it had all of these kind of unique, novel, memorable surprise and delight moments. And we did a lot of A/B testing and found that the higher up we can put the clear, simple, in-your-face value prop and just a few elements of trust, the better the site converted. So surprise and delight really doesn't play a strong role for us on first touch. We just focus on explaining the value prop and building trust and converting. And then when they come back or when they engage with us offline or on other channels, that's where surprise and delight moments come in to to get them more excited about sticking around, buying other products, engaging with the community online, talking to our vet team. We bake them in all post-purchase. And they're really like human, nice moments so that people remember the brand.
Very cool. TJ, what about you all at Bubs?
Yeah, we do pre, we do post purchase. We're kind of all over the map with surprise and delight. I mean, we have literally Excel sheets of where you're at kind of in the funnel and where you're at in your cycle of customer journey with us, and we'll just shotgun random stuff out to you in the mail. We have a lot of really weird things going on in the back end. All that being said, some really clear front end examples. We use a tool called Rebuy. There's plenty of pre-purchase and post-purchase tools out there. Zipify, Rebuy. I mean, you can grab probably 10 of them right off the Shopify App Store, and they're all really good because it's the concept, not necessarily the application that you're using. So find one that fits your storefront is my suggestion. But that being said, you can create a number of rules within that scope. And the same thing with a headless build, you have the flexibility to create a bunch of rules. So depending on the combination of things you've added to your cart, and it might not be very obvious, but we'll throw in really random things on price triggers. So if you get over, $80 or something like that, and you have a combination of products, all of a sudden just a free mix wand shows up and you're like, oh, I can add this for $0. Absolutely, I'll get on that. That helps pre. And then obviously the post-purchase side, the same thing is like, let's really get deep with our customers. I'll have them, reach out to us, or have the ability for them to reach out to us and the owners. I mean, I did something very similar to kind of the book, The Time, with what Katie was saying. I just sent out an email to our list, the entire baked list from my personal last week. And the responses, the volume of responses is pretty interesting. But it, even 4+ years in business, it allows you to understand what the customer wants, because regardless of who's on this call and what your brand is, it's not about you. It's just not. It's about the customer. Let them drive the business. And that's the best thing I can say is like, just listen to your customers, talk to them. If you haven't, do it. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I'm assuming that's probably one of the best deliverability emails you've sent probably in the history of the brand as well.
That one was pretty good. We also do, all right, so quick consulting lesson, and everybody can steal this and run it. It's really fun. Take all of your customers, export them in Excel, drop all the information off except for the first name, and run a count and a sort on the most reoccurring first names. Get a camera. It doesn't have to be professional. We can selfie it all day long if we have to. Go as deep as you can on that list for reoccurring first names and include those videos inside an email flow. So what we did was post-purchase thank yous. First time, I have 27 Katies that made a purchase in the last 3 days. She gets put into a flow. And in 3 days post-purchase is a video of me and my business partner packing up a box. Hey, Katie, thanks so much for your order. Really appreciate it. Everything's going in this box. If you need anything, reach out to us. My cell's 760, blah, blah, blah. My business partner, same thing. End of message. Quick 15-second out. And that's been one of the best in terms of getting customers communicating with us and creating that dialogue. I mean, I get random texts all the time from folks.
It's your real number?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And then is that
why not? At the end of the day, why not? Like, I want to communicate. I want to grow the business. I want people to feel good, like lead from that place. And yeah, I have no reason not to be authentic and give my real number.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just asking because it's the first time. Everybody else I've heard from, it's usually like their SMS app or some sort of autoresponder service that their CS team will take over.
We have those for sure. But real email, real number is, I've doxed myself hard, like a lot of times. And it's okay, cool. This is just part of the game.
You're the first person I've ever talked to one of these that openly was proud of doxing themselves.
Not proud of it, but like it serves a purpose and it builds that authenticity and it builds that trust. And again, I don't want people buying a product that's going to be terrible for them, regardless of what it is. It doesn't matter if I'm selling headphones or supplements. Like, I want to put my best foot forward, and my name and my family's name and everything's on the stamp of that. And for Bubs specifically, we have a person that's gave up his life for the country. His name's on the jar. So we really have to lead from that space and lead from the front on that. And that's just what we're trying to do. Nothing
Yeah.
special.
And it's very refreshing when the customers receive those messages and then you respond and they expect it to be an automated response. So it's even like, it's exciting for them when it's a real person and it's actually the person that they thought they
It's
were going to message.
it's some of the most rewarding, and I'll say this, I've said this a lot of times actually in the last couple of webinars I've been on, but the most rewarding thing for me and Bubs, if this all went away tomorrow, was the people I met and the customers that I met. I've met some of the most amazing humans. I'll probably start crying if I talk about it too long, but people that have done real things for humanity, and they're behind the scenes, but I've met some really, really amazing people, and hands down, talking to my customers was the only thing that led me there.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll save the more dramatic section and the tears for later.
For sure.
Katie, question to you. How are you wowing customers? What are some of those unique experiences where those customers just like have that awesome experience where they're like, wow, we really love this brand?
Yeah, the biggest one comes through customer service, which is one of our biggest advantages over the retail brands that we take customers from. People can get in touch with us any day and get a real human. A lot of them expect it to be an automated number. So when we do send automated texts, we always we struggle with like, when do we inform them that this is a human versus when do they know that it's an automated, because we want them to talk to us like we're human when we are and not when we're not. But providing human customer service, being able to answer their in the weeds questions about anything about their dog when it has nothing to do with Maev. We have a vet team that we are lucky to have extra capacity on. So a lot of our customers will be panicking about their puppies' DMs and we'll be like, let's just flag the vets, and the vets can provide a custom answer really quickly. And those moments really wow the customers. They build extra trust. The last one is like, when a customer does have a negative experience, some of those customers are some of our most vocal advocates because they have a negative experience. They expect headaches. And if we're able to provide a human response and put a box on the back of a courier and get it to them same day, they are like blown away because they just don't expect it. Doing things like that goes a long way. Whenever a dog passes away or somebody has a hard time sending them things, goes a long way. And it's like TJ said, like it comes from an authentic place of like, we're here to build a community with these people and they don't expect it. So we need to get them to expect it and want it too. And then just showing up tends to work.
Awesome. Yeah. It also sounds like being very forefront, being like having the team be very personality driven and sharing their personalities goes a long way as well. Yeah. Cool. So I have to ask, just because on every webinar, this is the question I'm going to get no matter what, is what tech stack are you all using? What apps are you using to power a lot of this experience? I know we've talked about a lot of different things from headless to UGC and loyalty to email and SMS to all these different things. So if there's anything you don't feel comfortable sharing, don't. But is there anything in the tech stack? What's the typical tech stack run through? So Katie, I'll throw it back to you for this one.
Yeah, we use Shopify as our backend for transactions, orders, products. We use Recharge for all of our subscription management, and Recharge ends up being our cart as a result. The front end is on Builder, which works well as a CMS. We use Yotpo for all of our loyalty, referrals, rewards, reviews, UGC, all of it in one place. Zendesk for CX, and we use SMS Bump, but we've tried, I think, almost every SMS provider under the sun for SMS, and Klaviyo for email.
Cool. Okay, SMS is the Yotpo SMS.
Right now, Yotpo SMS, but we've used Postscript. We've tried Klaviyo. Because we do two-way, one-to-one SMS, finding a tool that connects to the CX platform, but also serves up all the customer information has been the tricky part. Klaviyo is the best at segmenting, but it doesn't give you the automations that Yotpo's SMS has right now.
Interesting. Okay. TJ, same question to you. Tech stack that you're comfortable sharing with everybody.
Yeah, all of it. But it's very different. That's interesting. Okay. So top down front ends in Gatsby. We have a contentful layer in between. That just does all our content management. Then the back end is Shopify / Recharge for one-time purchases, best subscriptions for customer management, product management, that type of stuff. Blogs, everything else, presentation layer also handled in Contentful if that matters. SMS, we use Attentive. Customer service we use gorgeous. Both integrate together and also integrate with Shopify, Katie, just in case you're wondering. There's two-way messaging on Attentive. They have a great short code option. There's a number of bonuses with that, which is why we went down that path. We also do a customer data warehouse, basically. I have all my data about 28 layers deep thrown on ice inside Snowflake so that I can go through and slice and dice on SQL however I see fit. That layer is done, the CDP layer was Segment at one point. It's now over to Optimizely, a company called Zeus that Optimizely bought. So we were on Zeus prior to the acquisition, but it's under Optimizely now as Optimizely CDP. Yeah, that's kind of the majors for email. Same thing, Optimizely, and we segment everything through there. I don't know if I forgot anything, but if I did, let me know and I'll tell you what it is.
I think that was pretty thorough for both of you. So if anybody has any questions, I see people starting to throw them into the chat and into the Q&A. We're going to open up for everybody to ask questions. I have a couple prepared here already. So the first one is from John. What's an acceptable cost for a headless build out? And I think kind of a easier question to ask is, what process would you go through to determine where the investment makes sense for you? So does anybody want to take that one first?
I could do it. Okay, so again, 20 some years in this space. I was a solutions architect for enterprise for a long time. I've done a lot of deploys. I've been on the provider side for a number of years with some of the bigger SMB companies. Pick your poison, I've probably seen it. Scope your project before you decide what you're looking to do. Build the blueprint before you get the general contractor to the house. Like, button it up with the architect first. From there, once you get your requirements in place, then you're going to start scoping your technology and what needs to be actually inserted. Do you guys really need to go to headless? Are you guys having problems with mobile conversion? So after analytics deep dive, start going through that process and buttoning that stuff up. That's going to kind of yield your band and your tolerance for how much this is going to cost, so to speak. If you have technical folks in-house, I mean, for us, it was under a six-figure build, significantly under a six-figure build. For some people that I've seen, it's been well in the 250, 300 range. So it just depends on who you're dealing with, what your systems integrator is, how many times they've done it over, if you're reusing anything, and really what the scope of where you're at. There's not really, and this is all honesty, there's not really a fixed cost that I can say, hey, this is a good way to go. Look at what's at the back end of the business first and those requirements, and then decide whether headless is the way to go.
Yeah, because it also, just like building a house, it seems like it's, the world is your oyster there, where you could build the mansion, you could build the 4-bedroom, you could build the apartment building. Like, it's kind of.
So I used to have a good slide on a presentation when I was scoping, and it was a house with a driveway, and there's literally like a redwood tree in the middle of the driveway. And it was like, this is what you get when you ask for a website that you don't scope. So you can go headless all day long. Chances are there's going to be a tree in the middle of your driveway.
Cool. Katie, any advice, any thoughts, any recommendations for what how you all went through the process?
Yeah, the putting a dollar on it is such a hard question. So we launched with headless. So we don't have a past to look back to. We don't have a different set of data to compare to. We launched with headless from recommendation from our lead engineer who came from ecom. And we talked for a long time about the level of curation I wanted, the level of customization I wanted, the level of control I wanted over conversion rate optimization. And we pushed hard for headless for the first build. We launched a site with a tiny engineering team of 2 people in 6 weeks or less, with most of the components that we have today. And then we optimized from there. So it's hard to put a price on it. It's hard to say like what scope is the V1 build. But whenever we think about a big project that's going to take weeks at this point, we say, what is a realistic stepwise jump in any of our metrics that we'll see, and how much money is that worth? And so is it worth that time or not? And sometimes it's not worth it and you still do it because of the long-term payoff. But if it is worth it for the short term, then it's an easy no-brainer decision.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you both are on the other side, what's been the greatest benefit and the greatest lesson that you would recommend people kind of keep in mind when going through the process?
Benefit for us is control and visibility. I could dream up a feature tomorrow and build it tomorrow. I could want analytics tomorrow and get them tomorrow. And the biggest downside is that off-the-shelf things don't always just plug right in because it's headless and custom. And so you have to, we have an in-house engineering team for a reason. And I think when we were building the stack for the first time, we hadn't launched products yet. So there was probably a good argument to not go headless from the jump and launch the most basic, not an apartment building, just a shack in the backyard kind of a store, and learn from it before investing in a longer build time. Because we need in-house engineering, we need to scope projects beforehand, we need tools that plug into our custom stack.
TJ, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, the improvements, I mean, are honestly limitless. I quite often feel shackled by platforms regardless of what it is and regardless of the timeline in e-commerce you're at, whether you sat in early 2000s Magento and you went through the demandware phases, or you're in Shopify right now and you're a plus client. There are always limitations by leaving your hands in somebody else's destiny in terms of, hey, you control everything full stack. So as Katie said, rapid iteration, release often, release early, the old Google mentality. You know, we try to adhere by that as much as possible, because again, we want the users to steer their own experience. We want to know what they want. I can't just keep force feeding. It's exhausting at that point to be that creative for so long. So look, tell me, what do you guys want? And like, we're gonna work around it. And it's allowed that visibility into the customer, whether it's heat maps or, you know, getting full story and having a real picture on what's going on without kind of the limitations that you were shackled to prior. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest. And then, you know, downside or I would say speed bumps to watch out for along the way. It's again, same thing, like understand the scope of your project. This isn't a silver bullet. In fact, it's quite the opposite for a long time, and you can let it spin out of control real quick. So be methodical about it if you're going to get into the space and you want to play. This is still very new.
Cool. And it sounds like both of you have engineering resources in-house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we've done it in a while. Actually, that I've done it in a while, probably in last 7-8 years. This is the first time I've leveraged internal resources or wanted it. But this was definitely one of those projects where you're like, you know what, it's good to lean over, Slack somebody and be like, hey, I need these 5 things changed, push the build, and you watch them rip through GitHub, do the deploy on a staging. You get to check the staging real quick, and then they can push the production super fast. And so that's another thing I would say for the audience out there is understand that there's steps in this now. It's not just looking at liquid theme and hitting publish or customize and then, yeah, that's all right, and let's go. You're going to have steps along the way for deployments, and you are going to have to adopt a different deployment mentality opposed to kind of the hot fixing stuff that most people are used to inside Shopify Theme Builder.
Yeah, definitely. It's much more of a software deployment schedule, and it's not as much
Really
that
is.
like drag and drop, quick edits. Okay, so in our final question, wrapping up, because we're getting pretty close to time here, is what are you all the most excited about? What's one grand piece of advice heading into holiday that you have for everybody? What's one thing that would just be a great takeaway if there's one thing that they remember from today's session? So TJ, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat first.
Ooh, Black Friday is going to start November 1. That's the best I can tell you guys. Every year it starts earlier and earlier. I used to watch it go from Friday to Monday, and then it went from like Wednesday to Monday and Monday to Monday. And guess what? 2021 Black Friday is going to start 11/1. Get on board. It's not going to be bad for your brand. It's going to be quite the opposite. It's going to be really good. But start staging out your promotions from early November on. That's the best thing I can recommend, because your competition will be doing it. Somebody in your vertical will be doing it. And it's time for everybody to kind of get on board and start leveraging that.
Yeah, definitely. With all the shipping problems, you don't want to have to get to product to customers in December. So
Absolutely.
Katie, bring us on home. What's the one last piece of advice for everybody today?
I'm avoiding the supply chain nightmare that will come in a matter of weeks. The one piece of advice I would say is like, get in touch with your customers. It sounds like we're both like emailing them, calling them, texting them, talking to them any time of day they're willing to talk to us. And it sounds like anything you can do to get to know them better is a huge advantage that you would have over your competition. And then you can incorporate that into your site, into your products, into your inserts, into your emails. And those are the touch points that really win.
Yeah, definitely. Because the more customer research you can do, the better you can connect, and the better you connect, the better you can give what you want. So we really appreciate everybody joining us today. Just want to let everybody know that we have recorded all this. We will send it out following up on the webinar. And if everybody wants, we're going to be hosting another webinar in 2 weeks on October 30th, all about your return on influencers and how to manage your influencer program heading into the holidays. So we want to thank everybody for joining. We want to thank our amazing panelists for dropping all of their great wisdom today, and hope everyone enjoyed.